Here's a reporters' roundtable on the perspective of the Abraham Accords, including Dan Cohen of Newsmax, Eric Stackelbeck of TBN News, and Joel Rosenberg of All Israel News and All Arab News. TBN's Eric Stackelbeck led the discussion.
With our all-star panel, Joel Rosenberg, and a new friend and a good friend, Daniel Cohen, Jerusalem correspondent for Newsmax TV right here in Israel. You were with us on the delegation, Daniel. Tell us about that.
I'm just watching, journalistically, each high-level meeting, UAE and Bahrain, the signers of the Abraham Accords, and here in Israel, these weren't like the one-off. But one thing that came up was, is the United States behind you? Everybody saw what happened in Afghanistan. One person, high level, again, we're not going to name who, I said, do you feel in the Iran dealings, this JCPOA 2.0 that's being pushed by this administration that Israel doesn't want? And Naftali Bennett said he'd rather have no deal than a bad deal. Yeah. And we said, do you feel the United States, if push would come to shove, would support Israel and would be supportive of this region? And there was a long pause. It was a long pause.
It was a very long pause.
And sometimes a non-answer is an answer, right? I mean, I think if I was looking at my watch, it was a solid 20, maybe 30 seconds of thought.
Usually, I've interviewed, and we all have, lawmakers on both sides of the political aisle in the United States, and also in Israel. And usually when you ask that question, when it comes to the U.S.-Israel relationship, both, without pause, say, of course, Israel is our greatest ally, or America is our greatest ally. There's no stop and think, how do I answer this one? It has been automatic, usually, but we're in a different place now, as you said just a few minutes ago, Joel.
It very well may be the most profound moment of the entire trip, because what it tells us is that the people who are on the front lines, at the most senior level of all three of these governments, they love America, they need America, they want the closest possible alliance. They weren't partisan. They spoke highly in positive ways about Trump and about Biden. But when you press this one particular leader, do you feel like America's really going to stand with you when push comes to shove? And his ultimate answer was yes. But the 15 to 20 to 30 seconds that got there, you're like, the answer is no.
In this region, what are they looking for? Well, they're looking for allies. Yeah. And just like your book, enemies and allies. Who's on my side? Who is on my team?
Prophetic implications of the Abraham Accords? What do you think?
Well, I think I would stick to the fact that 2 points. One, millions and millions and millions and millions of Christians around the world have been praying for the peace of Jerusalem. God has answered with 4 new Arab-Israeli peace agreements. I'd like to hear from Muslims and Jews how biblical prophecies are coming to pass, and prayers. I would say the Bible does say that before we get to the war of Gog and Magog, where a Russian dictator teams up with Iran and surrounds Israel, there's going to be a sense of security for the nation of Israel. They know Iran and Russia are problems, but right now they mostly feel secure, which suggests to me maybe the chessboard is being arranged for coming prophetic events. I don't know yet. It's too early to say, but that was my impression of this trip.
Things are moving, and I think one thing that struck the three of us and our entire delegation was what I would say religious freedom in those two countries. Just thinking that the largest church in the Arabian Peninsula, we were at a synagogue in Bahrain. Amazing times that we are living in.
Thanks for joining us on this special edition of Jerusalem Dateline, examining the status of the Abraham Accords and their future. Please continue to pray for these agreements, for the peoples in this region, and for the peace of Jerusalem.